stuck here. The cops won't bother me. This is a 2010 SH150i from Honda. You know, the scooter might not look like much, but it's quite a flexible scooter. And the SH150i was only sold in 2010 along with the Elite 110. Front, you have a 16-inch wheel with a single disc rotor, and it's plenty to stop this beast from moving down the road. You know, one of the big benefits of having these big wheels on the scooter is that it's a much more stable ride than the 10-inch wheels you would have on a Honda Ruckus or a Yamaha C3 or even a Vespa with slightly larger wheels. These wheels behave differently than a regular scooter. So on these wheels, you essentially have a motorcycle handling type of scooter, and it doesn't feel as nimble as a scooter would be, but it feels much more stable. The SH150, you have the battery right here. You have to remove this plastic panel, but you have access to the battery, and I appreciate that they put it very down low because it makes much more sense to have a battery down low. Normally on a scooter, you'd have a gas tank here, but Honda decided to put the battery here and the gas tank higher up. You do have one single headlight, and it's as soon as you turn on the key, it lights up. One of the things I don't like is it lighting up as soon as you turn on the key because it uses a lot more electrical power. I wish that the light would only turn on when you start the bike. So I'm not sure exactly the reasoning behind Honda for doing that. You have very decent turn signals up front and in the rear. This might seem like it's not a big deal, but because of the flat board, it makes it a much more usable scooter because you can, for example, put long things here, you can put your groceries here, and you can carry a whole lot more things than you would with a typical scooter that has a hump here. On this right side, you have a typical kill switch and then your start button. One thing I'm going to say about these buttons, they're similar to the ones in the Elite 110, but very high quality. Of course, here on the right side, you have your throttle. This is an automatic transmission, so it's very easy to ride. Then you have your brake. On this left side, you have your high beams, you have your turn signals, and your horn. Very typical where they should be. It's very intuitive to use. It's very high quality button. Being a scooter, over here is your rear brake, but also pay attention to that little bit of metal. That's your handbrake. So I've had this system in similar scooters that are small, and if you push your brake quite a bit, you can push this back and it locks it in place. So to get rid of it, you just push it back all the way and it'll release. Right down here you have your ignition. If you turn it all the way to the left, it pops up in your trunk, and of course this is ignition on. You do have a little bag lock so you can carry things. Honda did a really good job styling this, and you can tell that they really looked at the design. This entire bike has got like this swoopy wave style to it. Even the rear foot pegs have that, so they integrated that style throughout. This style goes like this, like the entire shape of it. This is not like a typical scooter style with a lot more plastic over here. They made it like a swooping style. They brought the silver accent over. So it's a very well designed scooter, and Honda really paid attention to the little details. And I think that's why this bike is perhaps a collector's item. The people that do get this bike tend to hold on to them for quite some time. This is the typical location for the airbox on a scooter. To remove it, you just undo these bolts and pops this out. This is where your drive train is. This one, of course, is equipped with a center stand. Using the key, turning it to the left opens up the seat. The seat is on a hinge. I kind of believe that this is the Achilles heel of the SH150. It's a very tiny compartment here. You don't have a lot of space. You can see I don't have a lot of stuff. I have my toolkit, I have my manual here, I have my COVID mask, screwdriver, some other knickknacks, and the seat also has a little bit of a recess. Seat kind of goes up a little bit. Very cheap seat, but it's what you'd expect. It's a lot of plastic. It's a little fragile here, but it does the job. Most of the time I find that you're probably not going to be using the storage here other than just putting maybe some tools in here. So one of the reasons that you have such a short or such a small amount of storage here is because Honda put 16-inch wheels on this bike, and so that is a little bit of a pro and a con. So you have the increased stability of having larger wheels, but you have very little storage. And I think that's a good compromise, because this bike on the highway and on roads, it just handles so much better than a small scooter with the small tiny wheels. Over here you have your gas cap. So normally you would have a gas cap at the floorboard, but this one is back here. The gas cap is, or the gas tank is high up. So because of the lack of storage, most of these SH150s come with a top box. They did a great job styling this. Normally you would have blinkers that would be external, but I like that these are very tight. They're tucked away, tucked in such a way that if you were to drop it, it's not going to break. On each side you have these coils, your rear suspension coils, and these are a little bit more wound here and they get looser. So you do have decent suspension for a scooter. Scooter is a little bit non-typical because it uses less plastic. There's a lot more area exposed, a lot more engine to be seen here. There's a lot more engine here. There's electronics here, so I do like that about this scooter. You also have your dipstick here. You can check your oil. I do like that the exhaust is nice and quiet, and they made it, I think it's probably kind of heavy, but there's no point in getting an aftermarket exhaust for a scooter. I think a lot of people that get aftermarket exhausts for scooters tend to not have their priorities right. You know, this is a very streamlined scooter. This is very well designed. Like, this scooter is extremely well designed. It's got a very high fit and finish. It feels like it's much more expensive than what it is. Let's look at the instrument panel. It's very well designed. So you have your indicators in this half circle style. Then you have your engine light right in the middle. It's extremely well designed. It's symmetrical. I think a lot of people don't appreciate the amount of work that it took Honda engineers and designers to do this, but I do. So you have the circle, it's like a half circle too, and there's like this running pattern of half circles throughout. You have in the middle this dial, which is what you're going to be paying attention most of the time. Over here you have your fuel, you have your temperature. Over here you have your odometer, or I would say your clock. You have your trip. You only get one trip on this, and then you get your odometer. This particular scooter's got 8,000 miles, and let's go ahead and turn it on. You hear the fuel injection start. You have to hit your brake and then you can start it. Very quiet engine, and it shakes a little bit, but that's because it's on the center stand. So you have your clock, you have your speedo, you can push this button here to reset it, and this is to adjust your clock. And this is a very efficient scooter. I'm going to turn it off. It's a very efficient scooter, so you might be getting 70 miles to the gallon on this thing. Yeah, I really appreciate that Honda really thought about the scooter. Even though it's a scooter and people that get it probably don't have a lot of money, but it seems like they spend quite a bit of time designing this thing to make it look a little bit nice. Now, they didn't make this bike to look quirky like they did the Honda Ruckas or the Monkey. They made it, I think, for an older demographic, but this is a typical Euro styled scooter. You will see these on the road left and right. Kymco, I believe, copied this design in their Kymco 150 People. It's a very timeless design. Like if you look at the bike from a vantage point of scooters, I think this is definitely going to hold up over the years. Everything about this bike is meant, let's get to work, let's be effective, efficient. The 16-inch wheels are probably its strongest thing, and of course coupled with the fuel injection, this bike is the type of bike that you can ride for hundreds of miles. And I've heard of guys that had the SH150i and they put 70,000 miles on it. Do sit higher up than a lot of scooters. It feels like it's a very tall scooter because of the seat height, but because it's a scooter, it's very easy to get in and out, so you don't have to work very hard to be comfortable on this bike. I think everybody that gets this bike is going to feel at home right away. It's very simple to use. This thing is so narrow that you can fit in between cars without any problems. One of the issues with a lot of bikes on the market, even 200cc bikes, that they're getting very, very wide, and it makes lane splitting kind of a chore. I think what I like about this particular bike is that it still feels like a scooter, but with the handling of a motorcycle. That 16-inch wheels make this thing handle so much better in most cities. And I think a lot of people, if you do get a scooter and you do have the money, you should get larger diameter wheels. The mirrors on this bike are really effective. They don't vibrate. As soon as you start moving, you can see everything directly behind you. Well guys, that is the 2010 Honda SH150i. It's a fantastic little scooter and it feels more like a motorcycle than it does a scooter. This bike you can use for touring, you can use for commuting, you can ride it every single day, and of course it's so light that you can take it on your motorhome across the United States or the world. It's a fantastic little thing. I just wish that Honda sold it more in the United States, because it's becoming a very, very rare scooter to get. And of course, it's fuel injected, so it's got some of the best things you can possibly get in a scooter. The bad is that underseat storage is almost non-existent, but most of these come with top boxes anyway, so you don't even need any underseat storage. Well guys, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.